Hello, and welcome back to another video on Legends and Myths. Today I'll be telling you the story of Ah Puch, the Mayan god of death and decay, who is also the one who rules over the underworld. Ah Puch is an extremely fearsome deity, usually depicted as a skeletal figure that had protruding ribs and a death's head skull, or of a bloated figure that suggested an advancing state of decomposition. He was known as the god of death, darkness, and disaster, and yet also apparently represents regeneration, childbirth, and beginnings. He is also known as Achimich, Asizin, Hun Ahau, Kimi, or Yum Kimil. In the Quechua language, Chimi means death, and Sizin means the flatulent one alludes to the odor of death. As Sizin, he was a dancing human skeleton smoking a cigarette, wearing a gruesome collar of human eyes dangling from their nerve cords. He was called the Stinking One, as the root of his name means flatulence or stench, considering he had a foul smell. He is most closely identified with the Christian devil, keeping the souls of evil people in the underworld under torture. While Chak, the rain god, planted trees, Sizin was shown uprooting them. He is seen with the god of war in scenes of human sacrifice. As Yum Shemil, he also wears a collar of dangling eyes or empty eye sockets and has a body covered in black spots representing decomposition. Because of Ah Puch's association with owls, he might be portrayed as a skeletal figure with an owl's head. Like his Aztec equivalent, Mictlantecutli, Ah Puch frequently wears bells. The Mayan death god was often portrayed as two separate beings, but in reality is one. He is the opposite of the upper god in the creation of the world and of the human body and soul. This god inhabits an underworld known as Xibalba, that is also the world of the dead. Xibalba was the name the Quiche Mayan gave to the underworld. For the Yucatec Mayan, the underworld was known as Mitnal. The name Xibalba translates as place of fright, which indicates the terror the place had in the Mayan imagination. There was, unfortunately, not much chance of escaping the place either. Ideologies such as leading a good life and avoiding eternal torment by not doing bad things were not part of the Mayan belief system, as only those who died a violent death avoided Xibalba. The underworld was a truly fearsome place, strongly associated with water. It had its own landscape, gods, and bloodthirsty predators. Xibalba was also the scene of many adventures by the heroes of Mayan mythology, especially the hero twins Hunahpu and Xbalanque. For the Mayan Xibalba lay to the far west, hence the great number of burials made on the islands of Campeche, located off the west coast of the Yucatan Peninsula, making it the most western Mayan territory. Xibalba was entered through a cave or area of still water in Tlalticpac, which was the surface of the earth and the first of the 9 underworld levels. The Milky Way was also considered an entrance to Xibalba and the road along which souls walked to meet their fate. The Mayan, believing the underworld had 9 different levels, represented this idea in the gigantic stone pyramids they built as tombs for their kings, which often have 9 tiers. The Mayan believed that the underworld was ruled by a group of gods, known collectively as the 12 Lords of Xibalba. These beings of cadaver-like appearance are the complete opposite of life. They are in charge of the underworld and tasked with maintaining the balance between the worlds of the living and the dead. However, Xibalba's ultimate ruler is Ah Puch, the god of death and king of the underworld. Ah Puch ruled Mitnal, the lowest level of Xibalba. He reigns over Xibalba with his wife Ixtab, the goddess of suicide. However, it was the Ajawab that kept the order in the depths. The Council of the 12 Lords of Xibalba was preceded by Hun Kame and Vukub Kame, the supreme judges of Xibalba. It was them who dictated the other lords what their duties would be in the underworld. Because Ah Puch ruled death, he was closely allied with the gods of war, disease, and sacrifice. Like the Aztecs, the Mayans associated death with dogs and owls, so Ah Puch was generally accompanied by a dog or an owl. Ah Puch is also often described as working against the gods of fertility. The Mayans were much more fearful of death than any other Mesoamerican cultures. Ah Puch was envisioned as a hunting figure that stalked the houses of people who were injured or sick. Mayans were typically engaged in extreme, even loud mourning after the death of loved ones. It was believed that the loud wailing would scare Ah Puch away and prevent him from taking any more down to Mitnal with him. The mythology of Ah Puch is not known. Ah Puch is mentioned as a ruler of the north in the book of Chilam Balam of Chumayel. Ah Puch is mentioned as one of the attendants of Xibalba in the Popol Vuh. The Popol Vuh, a text dating to the 16th century, said to contain within which is the oldest Mayan myth contained in its entirety. The story has two main death gods called One Death, Hun Kam, and the other called Seven Death, Vukub Kam, who were eventually vanquished by the hero twins. The two principal death gods are among the many were-animals and ghosts known as Weob, inhabiting the underworld. Weob are sleepers who can intentionally do harm while they are dreaming. The mention of were-animals is interesting because were-animals represent transformation and can be psychopomps carrying souls to the underworld. The bear is one such animal and the wolf is another. These two gods are really one god with the story depicting two aspects of it, as are the hero twins. Ah Puch was also associated with the moon. The moon, as we know, exerts great influence over water and water brings life. The other side of the ritual, of course, being the welcoming in of fertility and new life. In this sense, the story would appear to have some shamanistic overtones with a character who can bring life as well as death, a psychopomp who carries souls to the other side and brings new ones into the world. Ah Puch is often represented as having an owl's head, since owls were considered symbols of death to the ancient Mayan. It's far more likely, though, that the owl became associated with Ah Puch because of his role as not only the god of death, but the god of darkness and disaster as well. Owls, by their nature, are nocturnal, hunting small prey in the night and taking them off into the darkness where they are consumed. Ah Puch played an important role in Mayan mythology. What's interesting is that although he is the god of death, decay, darkness, and destruction, he is also the god of birth and new beginnings, making him a study in opposites. Ah Puch manages to embody the two extremes of human existence, as if he would be the one standing at the door between life and death, greeting you no matter which direction you're moving. However, he is a sadistic, nightmarish figure, stalking the night to drag unlucky humans to the underworld so he can torture their corpses. The only people he spares are those already suffering from his servant's effects. He brought death and serious illness, and was always malicious, hunting the houses of vulnerable people. It was believed that he used to place the human soul on fire after a person died, and then he threw cold water on this fire while the soul terribly cried in pain. His torture of the soul continued when he again set it to burn. He repeatedly did this until the tortured soul dissolved completely. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this to come. Let me know what other death gods or deities you would like for me to make a video on next. I appreciate you guys for your continued support on helping this channel grow by liking and sharing my videos. Take care, and I'll see you in the next myth.